She was already yelling before I even stepped out of my truck. "You can't be here! This is private HOA property!" she screamed, waving her phone like a badge of honor. I didn't even bother answering at first. I just looked at her, calm, tired, and a little amused, because I knew something she didn't. Karen stomped closer, her heels sinking in the ranch dirt like she owned the ground. I said, "Leave. This land belongs to the Whispering Pines HOA, and I'm the board president." Her voice cracked with fake authority. I leaned against my truck and took a slow sip of coffee. "That so?" I asked, pretending to be curious. She nodded proudly, lifting her chin. "Yes, and I've already called 911. You're trespassing." That made me laugh. Not loud, just a quiet, dangerous laugh. "Good," I said. "Maybe they can help you figure out whose property you're standing on." Her face went red. "Don't play smart. I've lived here for 12 years. I know who owns what," she barked. "You ranch people think you can just build fences wherever you want." I smiled a little. "Funny thing about fences," I said, pointing behind her, "is that they usually sit on property lines. And that one, it's mine." She turned, confused, looking at the wide wooden gate with my family's brand burned into it. But before she could answer, the distant sounds of sirens started growing louder. Karen folded her arms, smirking. "You're in big trouble. I told them you were armed." That made my stomach twist, not in fear, but anger. Lying to the cops? That was low. I didn't move, though. I kept my hands visible, calm as the squad car pulled in. The deputy stepped out, hand on his holster, eyes shifting between us. "Sir, we got a report of a trespasser. Can I see your ID?" "Sure." I handed it over. He looked at the MAME, and I could see the recognition flicker across his face. His whole stance relaxed instantly. Karen's mouth moved, but no words came out. Her face twitched like she was trying to process what she'd just heard. You can't own an HOA?" she finally shouted, her voice shaking with panic instead of power. I shrugged, calm as ever. "You'd be surprised what happens when a developer sells unpaid land to cover old debts. Turns out your precious HOA was built on a ranch that never got fully transferred. I bought the rights 2 years ago." She blinked, clearly not understanding half of it, but she caught one word: bought. "So you think you can just, take over?" she stammered. I smiled faintly. "Karen, I don't need to take over. Legally, I already did." Her phone was still in her hand, and she jabbed at it like she could dial herself out of the situation. "I'm calling the real board. We'll see about this." "Please do," I said, stepping aside with a little gesture. "Call them. I'd love to hear their reaction." She stormed off to her car, slamming the door hard enough to make the windows rattle. I watched her through the windshield, shouting into the phone. Then, slowly, her face went pale. She looked up at me, eyes wide with disbelief. I could practically read her lips. He's on the board?" "Yup. That was me, the new majority owner of Whispering Pines HOA, the one who quietly bought up the debt and voting rights when the original investors bailed out. I never planned on using that power, but after today, maybe it was time." Karen jumped out of her car and pointed a shaky finger at me. "This isn't over. You can't just erase the HOA." I stepped closer, my boots crunching on the gravel. "Erase? No. But I can restructure it, and since you like giving out orders, let's start with one for you. You're suspended from the board, effective immediately." Her jaw dropped. "You can't fire me!" I smiled, showing her the paper I'd kept in my truck just in case. "Already did." She snatched the paper and read it, her hands trembling. My lawyer's signature was right there, and so was mine. That's when the real fear hit her. Her knees actually wobbled. You... Karen stood frozen, clutching that paper like it was her last lifeline. I could almost hear the gears grinding in her head as she tried to find a way to twist out of this. This is harassment!" she yelled finally, her voice cracking. "I'll sue you! I'll take this to court!" I leaned against my truck again, calm as a still pond. "Go ahead," I said.
My attorney's the same guy your HOA used last year, so good luck finding someone who doesn't already know how deep your violations go." Her eyes flickered. "Violations? What violations?" I opened the truck door, pulled out a thick brown envelope, and dropped it on her car hood with a dull thump. "These," I said simply. Karen stared at it like it might explode. Her hands hesitated before opening it, and when she did, her whole face changed. The color drained from her cheeks as she flipped through the photos, invoices, and emails inside. "Unauthorized fines? Misuse of HOA funds? Fake maintenance fees?" She read out loud, her voice barely a whisper now. "Who gave you this?" "Your treasurer did. He's been trying to report it for months, but every time he brought it up, you shut him down. So he came to me." Karen's lips parted in disbelief. You set me up." I shook my head. "No. You set yourself up when you started treating homeowners like servants." For a long moment, the only sound was the soft rustle of the wind. The ranch was quiet, the air thick with dust and tension. Then she snapped again, voice raising with desperation. "You think people will side with you? They hate you. You're just some ranch guy who moved in and ruined everything." I smiled, slow and deliberate. "You sure about that?" Right on cue, a line of trucks and cars started pulling up behind me. My neighbors, the same ones she'd fined for having the wrong mailbox color or parking too close to the curb. They'd all heard the 911 call on the scanner and decided to come see what was happening. One of them, Old Man Rivers, climbed out of his pickup and crossed his arms. "Heard you called the cops again, Karen. Guess you didn't expect the ranch owner to own you, too, huh?" Everyone chuckled, except Karen. She looked around, realizing no one was standing with her anymore. I walked closer and said quietly, "You know, Karen, sometimes when you climb too high on fake power, the fall hurts worse." Her eyes were glassy now, furious and scared all at once. Karen stood there trembling, surrounded by the very people who once feared her. Every whisper from the crowd made her smaller, weaker. She tried to hold her chin high, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. "You'll regret this," she said finally, her voice thin, more like a plea than a threat. I turned the engine off again and stepped out, walking closer until we were eye to eye. "Karen, you've spent years bullying people behind HOA rules, fining old folks, threatening families, even towing cars from driveways. You thought no one would ever fight back." Her eyes darted nervously around as homeowners murmured their agreement. Every face she looked at was one she'd wronged, people she'd shouted at, fined, or humiliated. I pulled another paper from the envelope and handed it to her. "This one's from the county," I said. "They're auditing every HOA account under your signature. You've got a lot of explaining to do." She scanned it quickly, and her knees nearly gave out. "No, this can't be real." "Oh, it's real. And the best part? Every board member signed off on removing you. I just made it official." Behind her, the HOA vice president, a man she used to boss around like a child, stepped forward. "Karen," he said quietly, "you're done. We voted you out." Her mouth opened, but no words came. She looked around for support, but no one moved. Not a single person. She took a shaky breath and turned back to me. "You think you've won?" she hissed. I smiled calmly. "No, Karen, I just gave everyone their neighborhood back." She stood frozen for a few seconds before storming to her car, throwing the papers inside. The tires squealed as she sped off, leaving a cloud of dust and a silence that felt like peace for the first time in years. Old Man Rivers chuckled, shaking his head. "Didn't think I'd live to see that woman get tossed out. You really did it." I gave him a small nod. No one should control people through fear, especially not on land that isn't even theirs. The crowd clapped quietly. It wasn't the kind of cheer you hear at a game. It was relief, like a weight had lifted off everyone's chest. As the sun started to dip, painting the sky orange and gold,